Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who: The Shakespeare Code, which is the second episode of Series 3, or Season 29. Before we get started, this episode is the first proper episode of the show written by Gareth Roberts. Of course, he also wrote Attack of the Grask, and this is a writer who is very controversial due to opinions outside of his work, as some what he calls his opinions on some people. So he's a controversial topic and he's a controversial person. So if any person feels uncomfortable about watching a review about his stories, then it's probably best that you don't carry on if you don't feel comfortable. But if you think you can stomach it, you may stick around. By all means, it's your choice. The thing is, we are focusing more on the story rather than the people, although there are going to be some noticeable bits where there are lines by characters that sound like they're coming from the writer more from the character. And this isn't the Gareth Roberts isn't the only person to have done this. I think Russell T Davies has done this a few times. Not with comments like what we get in this story, but more lines that just sound like they're coming from the writer rather than the character. Like in The Long Game, where he says, "I only take the best, I've got Rose." Those lines like those just sound like they're coming from the writer rather than the character. But in this story, it's notable for the fact that some of these lines are definitely something that, from a Gareth Roberts point of view, or from his sense of humour at the very least. So, as I was saying, if you don't feel comfortable about this topic, then don't watch any reviews talking about Gareth Roberts stories. This, Attack of the Grask, Unicorn and the Wasp, Planet of the Dead, even though that's co-written with Russell T Davies, you might feel a bit more comfortable there. The Lodger, Closing Time, The Caretaker, again, that's a co-write with Stephen Moffat, so you might feel more comfortable with that. And any expanded media stories we may touch upon. So yeah, if you feel uncomfortable about the situation, it's probably recommended you don't stick around unless you think you can stomach it. And this is the same for anybody who doesn't like particular writers, actors, or cast and crew on Doctor Stories. If you don't like them, you don't have to watch these reviews. So, such as if you don't like Chris Chibnall because you think he's ruined the show at the moment, don't worry about watching 42. If you don't like Stephen Moffat because you think he ruined the show, don't worry about watching Blink. You don't have to watch these stories if you don't like those writers. And if you don't like Helen Rayner on Daleks Manhattan Evolution of Daleks because she's a female writer and women writers should not be writing Doctor Who, if you think that, you're barred from this channel. Think of it as a pub and you're barred. We will not have such talk here. And the same goes for my other channels and the Whoniversals. If you have any of those comments to state, don't put them in these videos' comments. Not only will you be barred, but those comments will be blocked. So, with that out of the way, the Shakespeare Code. This is actually a really good episode. This is really, really enjoyable. This is such a great historical adventure. The plot opens with a pre-title scene with this poor minstrel guy getting eaten by witches after being tricked by the youngest witch, Lilith, who clearly, despite being out of the three witches, the youngest, and it appears that the other two are her mothers. I don't know whether that's both actual parents or if that's just titles they take. But clear, despite being the child of the three, in comparison anyway, she's the leader. She's the smart one. She's the one who gets most of the stuff done. She's obviously the one in charge and therefore the most dangerous and most fearful of the characters, as well as the one who gets the most scenes, as well as having a fantastic performance by our guest actress. I can't remember her name. Wasn't Lily Cole? No, that's the siren in the Curse of the Black Spot. Yeah. But yeah, after eating the minstrel, who fancies her, and then she brings him in to be eaten by her family. Well, I say eaten, ripped at. He's not actually sure what it's about. But yes, Lilith and her mothers, Bloodtide and Doomfinger, are planning to release their sisters, the Carrionites, from their imprisonment by the Eternals. By the way, the Eternals should come back to Doctor Who. They appeared in Enlightenment, and they've been referenced a few times. They're referenced here, they're referenced in Can You Hear Me, a recent Series 12 episode. I think they might have been mentioned in the Infinite Quest. I'm going to check that one out again in a few days' time, so we'll see. But despite being mentioned a good couple of times, they only appeared in Enlightenment. They should come back again, just because they keep being mentioned. But anyway, the Eternals have incarcerated the Caronites in this other universe thing that we see in their glow thing, crystal ball thing. However, Lilith and Doomfinger and Bloodtide have escaped, and they're plotting to use Shakespeare's words, William Shakespeare, to help them escape and take over the world, and eradicate the human race. However, despite waiting a year, the Doctor and Martha turn up and become a threat to their plans as the Doctor and Martha go and see Shakespeare. However, after mysterious deaths occur, they start to uncover the mystery about what's going on and start to get involved with the Carrionites and eventually have to try and stop them. So that's the Shakespeare Code. That is a really good story. The centerpiece are centering on Shakespeare and witches from alien witches, basically trying to use his words as a way to release themselves. Is really great, and there's a lot of Shakespeare play and quote nods and some great references and stuff. Even the Sycorax gets mentioned. That is apparently a Shakespeare line and a reference to a past Doctor Who monster of the new series. See the Christmas Invasion. But yeah, that is all really great and some really good stuff. Something is historical inaccuracies. Apparently, according to Mr. TARDIS reviews in his latest top 10 historicals video, where Shakespeare Code came 10th, Peter Street died 10 years after the events of this story. Whoopsies. And as Mr. TARDIS pointed out in his video and in a tweet, despite Martha living and studying in London, studying medical history, she doesn't know of Bethlehem, Bethlehem Hospital, the madhouse, so to speak. He presumes Gareth Roberts didn't really like writing for Martha, and there is occasionally moments of that. Again, a couple of lines said by characters that are problematic, but not in the way I was warning people about earlier. This time, more of the Doctor moping about Rose not being around. It does feel like the character of Martha is being a bit ignored and sidelined here in places, whilst also just being a thing for Shakespeare to muse about as well. She is quite fun in places, but you can tell that other writers are going to enjoy writing for the character a bit more. Talking about characters, Shakespeare is a great character. He's a bit of a subversion of what we may think. He's a bit more of the rock star of the day, as Mr. TARDIS put in his video, and he looks a bit younger. He's got more hair, and he's just a bit more active and a bit great character, and he's such full of life with his plays and scripts and performances, and his words, the power of words work really well, and the end, that climax is great. Supporting characters besides the villains, who, by the way, the three witches are also great villains, with Lilith being a fantastic villain, and I also love how the actress playing Doomfinger gets so into the role during the scene set at Bethlehem Hospital when she pops in for a quick one-touch kill. However, Bloodtide doesn't get a huge amount to do in this story, which is a bit of a shame. She should have had a bit more stuff to do besides knocking Shakespeare out so that they can succeed in their plans. But all three actresses do a great job in their roles. It's the supporting cast where I think these characters, the show, it's a bit of a letdown again, because they're not so important to the story. They feel like they're there to serve their purpose. The two actors, Dolly, the innkeeper, and this guy who tries to block Shakespeare's play, they're just they serve their roles, and that's about it. They're not really that memorable, really. Despite being despite being good, they're not that memorable. And also the ending with Queen Elizabeth I. I don't know if this was Gareth Roberts' idea or Russell T Davies, but Queen Elizabeth considers the Doctor her mortal enemy, and we don't really have enough time to find out why. It's quite quick to run away from the situation. Though the End of Time Part 1 and The Day of the Doctor will both reveal why exactly Elizabeth isn't exactly happy with the Doctor. I don't think neither this story nor Day of the Doctor have the closest portrayal of Queen Elizabeth I, though. It's a bit more the more stereotyped versions of the character. I think the closest interpretation of this historical figure is actually the Chase, to be honest, which is surprising. But anyway, but on the whole, Shakespeare Code is a really great story with some great nods to witchcraft and magic, whilst also tying it in with science. And also, it's a really fun and enjoyable story, despite a few problematic lines by some characters. Also, if you're a Harry Potter fan, this story has a few Harry Potter references, and the books are officially canon in the Doctor Who universe, as stated by the 10th Doctor. The movies are also officially canon in the Doctor Who universe, as mentioned in Fugitive of the Jadoon, or at least the filming of them are. But yeah, couple of Harry Potter references here. And even book 7, the 10th Doctor says that he cried. So I'm wondering which bit he cried at. Then again, this story was written before book 7 did come out. P.S. Deathly Hallows is easily the best Harry Potter book, in my opinion. But okay, on the whole, the Shakespeare Code, great story. I will be giving it a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. It does have a few faults and a few niggles, but I think its portrayal of Shakespeare is great, and the story around these witches trying to use his words to release their sisters is a fantastic plot, and it works into the fact that Lovelabour's one, the missing play, was the key, and it cannot be done again, cannot be shown. It's gone for all eternity, basically. So yeah, some really great stuff here, and it's great. I don't know if they filmed inside the globe, but it certainly looks really cool. So that's it from my review of the Shakespeare Code. Thank you for watching, and I hope I didn't annoy too many people due to the who wrote the story. I did warn you at the start, after all. But anyway, next time we go back to Russell T Davies to write for Doctor Who, so that should be less problematic for people, unless those people are against gay people. In that case, you're also barred. But yeah, next time we go back to Russell T Davies, who writes a strategic episode in this series, Gridlock. Gridlock is strategically it's a strategy strategically placed within this part of series 3 as the 3rd episode. So join me next time for Gridlock. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. And so, if any person feels uncomfortable about listening to, watching a review of his work, then please, you have my permission to go. No, it's not right. In that case, you're fired. If you think that, you're barred from this channel and all of my other channels. And the same goes for the, because you are officially barred, and you will especially be who fancies her, and it's kind of. However, despite waiting about a year to do all of this, sorry for any noise outside. I actually might have to close that window. The Doctor and Martha might. Oh shit! I'm gonna come back in a sec. You damn well. Sorry about that. Oh, you can still bloody hear it. Maybe it might be a bit better. However, they have bad time, and therefore are a threat to their plans, and therefore they have to. And also, as Mr. TARDIS Troby pointed out, Martha, despite studying and as Mr. TARDIS pointed out in his video, despite Martha Certainly, Russell T Davies at least writes for the character well. Yeah, but you can tell other writers are going to enjoy writing Martha Jones a lot more than Gareth Roberts. Though the answers will be revealed by Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies. Both. Yeah, and also I don't think either here nor Day of the Doctor is the best portrayal of Elizabeth I. They kind of do a bit more of a what was the word? Subcult? No. Typical. Damn. It's a typical performance. It's a typical portrayal. I say typical and not. It's I can't remember the word, but it's like what, let's say, old people think young people are, and not sub. I can't remember the word. I don't think either of the new series stories that have had. I don't think either this story nor Day of the Doctor have had the best portrayal of Elizabeth I. They just feel like they not actually make. They actually feel stereotype. That's it. I don't think this story neither. Also, if you're a Harry Potter fan, this is a good story to have. Also, this story has a couple of Harry Potter, and it was worth the wait, by the way. But I think its portrayal of Shakespeare and being a fun, but anyway. So that's less problematic, unless you are anti-gay. So sit back, relax. So join me next time for when we explore. So next time, Gridlock, and I'll see you.